Obligations add up. Weddings, funerals, family events, and friend celebrations strain budgets for men and women of all ages, forcing tough choices between loyalty and financial reality. We welcome in Craig Bolanos, co-founder and wealth advisor of VestGen Wealth Partners in Inverness and Downers Grove. Craig, thank you for joining us today. And it's such an honor when a bride or groom-to-be asks you to be in their wedding party, and then you hear about the bachelor or bachelorette party. Then you look at the price tag for the suit or the dress, or maybe it's a destination wedding, and by the time you add all of that up, you kind of wish they didn't ask you.
Rob, you can't make this stuff up. I had a bona fide conversation with one of my 24-year-old son's best friends who said, Mr. Bolanos, I've had 3 weddings and a funeral. My finances are upside down now after the summer. And you're right. What an honor to be asked to be in people's weddings. But you have to be willing to be honest. You have to be willing to be vulnerable and ask for a little bit of grace when you make yourself vulnerable, because depending on the all-in cost, you might not be able to pull it off.
Now, what are some strategies for bowing out gracefully from a wedding invitation such as that, especially if it's a destination wedding, it's a destination bachelor or bachelorette party, and you just simply can't afford the responsibilities of being at a wedding party?
You know what, Rob, if you're going to say no thank you, you almost hope it's a destination wedding, because not everybody can afford the trip to go to Hawaii. That being said, when that wedding is still local, that doesn't mean it's going to be cheap, because you're right. You may have a shower gift. You may have the clothing. You may have the bachelor or the bachelorette party. You may have this. You may have that. And I think it's just this. If you're being invited, and especially if you're being asked to stand up in that wedding, that means you have a great relationship with that bride or groom. And when we have great relationships, sometimes it's as simple as saying, hey, I need to visit with you. I need a little bit of help. And that help I'm referring to is I'm not in a financial position to participate, so let me know how I can still be present, but I want to be present in such a way that I'm not upside down financially. And that's such an uncomfortable conversation to have, but when we do that, trust me, the other recipient or the other person asking is going to give you the grace that you need.
Now, on top of that, if you don't want to sound like an Eeyore when your friend is on the cusp of a very joyous occasion, you know your friends well enough that you know who's about to get married. You know, if you have a friend who's been dating somebody for a couple of years and they're talking about getting engaged, that maybe you should start saving a little bit here and there so you're ready to afford the wedding celebration a year or more down the road.
Oh, I love it, Rob. That's exactly what I told the friend of my adult son. I said, hey, he had 3 weddings and a funeral. The funeral wasn't expected, but those 3 weddings, I said, was everyone engaged? They said, yep. And I'm like, well, that means you had time to plan. So, Rob, when you're in that season and you're in that age that the people you know, love, and trust are going to be getting married, that's why you have to have a budget. You got to start telling your money where to go, and instead of wondering where it went, and then participate in that wedding with passion and vigor, but make sure you understand the difference between needs and wants, because you can be in attendance. You just don't need to spend the full freight. Do it your own way that's reflective of your personal situation.
Now, did this person really have 3 weddings and a funeral? Because this sounds very much like a reference to the movie 4 Weddings and a Funeral, which came out longer ago than I wish to admit.
You know what? I'm not making this up at all. My oldest son is in D.C. He works for the Department of Defense. And when I spoke to his friend this summer, someone we grew up with, they literally said, Mr. Bolanos, what do I do? Because a lot of those bills for his friend are currently riding on a credit card. And I said, hey, we're going to do everything we can to get it transferred to a low balance card. And then we're going to be relentless and pay this off with a vengeance between now and the end of the year. And that's the program that we're currently on. So it might have sounded a bit like a movie, but that was ripped right out of real life, Rob.
Craig Bolanos, co-founder and wealth advisor, VestGen Wealth Partners in Inverness and Downers Grove. Find him online at getretiredstayretired.com. And coming up